नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम. Our sixth webinar today on Persian historiography on Sikh rule is being started now from the recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. ज़माने दी कसम बेशक इंसान घाटे विच है पर ਉਹ ਲੋਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਕ ਦੀ ਤਲਕੀਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਰ ਦੀ ਵਸੀਅਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ. ਮੂਲ ਮੰਤਰ. ਇੱਕ ਓਂਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸਹਿਬੰਗ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ. ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ. ਜਜ਼ਾਕੱਲਾ.
On behalf of my institution, on behalf of my institution, Dyal Singh Research and Cultural Forum, and of course, on my own behalf, I welcome the cream of scholars from the world to share with us the results of their researches in the field of Sikh studies. For today's webinar, we had chosen the subject of Persian historiography on Sikh rule. My preliminary encounter with this topic dawned on me that although a very important part of the history to be looked at through this angle, yet not much work seems to have been done here. I'm therefore all the more thankful to our esteemed scholars here with us as they are going to make us peep into this side with the help of the light of their researches. Although my highly acknowledged participating scholars are well known and famous in their own fields, yet to obey the norms of such a discourse, I introduce them very briefly. First, to be here is Dr. Harpreet Kaur ji. She is from India. She is principal of Mata Sundari College for Women, University of Delhi, New Delhi. While our other friend from India is Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed, Professor of Persian Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He is busy in some other things, in an important meeting somewhere, and will join us at 12 o'clock Pakistan time, 12:30 Indian time. Then we have with us from very appropriately is with us Dr. Nargis Jabari Nasab. She is assistant professor in Persian, Pyam-e-Noor University, Tehran, Iran, and I'm sure we are going to get much information from her too. As for scholars from Pakistan, Dr. Faliha Zahra Kazmi has graciously given us time from her busy schedule, not only to share with us her scholarship, but also helped my institution in many ways to see that a topic bringing Persian in relation to the Sikh rule is aptly attended. She is professor and head of the Department of Persian Studies in the Lahore College for Women University, Lahore. We are also lucky to have another learned person here in Dr. Mahmood Hussain, who is head of the Department of History and Pakistan Studies, University of the Punjab, Lahore. I once again thank these highly acknowledged scholars to take out time for our webinar. The Persian language played a dominant role during the reign of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, perhaps the only local and Sikh ruler who greatly impacted the history of the subcontinent. Persian was the court language, and it was essential for everyone to have knowledge of Persian language to be able to conduct any sort of business. May it be concerned with administration, religion, or war. There were quite a few reasons for it, and without going into details, it could be said that as during Mughal era, it was not only the court language, but most of the writings were effected in this language. So it was convenient as also more practicable to keep it as such for the conduct of the court and other jobs. When Maharaja Ranjit Singh conquered Lahore in 1799, all the matters were written in Persian language. All the terminology of his personal office and administration had Persian names. He had the services of Fakir brothers, especially Fakir Azizuddin, who was well versed in this language. Moreover, the writing of Punjabi at that time was not so simple as we have today, and in spite of some quarters standing against it, the Maharaja was convinced and comfortable with Persian. So with these few words, only to refresh the mind of the importance of Persian in the Sikh rule, I would better invite the scholars to shed light on Persian historiography in that era. May I request Dr. Mehboob Hussain to share with us his researches on this topic. Dr. Mehboob Hussain from Punjab University.
Thank you, Dr. Sanullah Nadeem Saab. ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਫਾ ਫਿਰ opportunity provide ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖੀ ਜਾਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ ਔਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਆਨਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਈਰਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਔਰ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਸਕੋਲਰਸ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਯਕੀਨਨ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੁਫ਼ਤਗੂ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਬਤੌਰ ਇੱਕ ਸਕਾਲਰ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਸਰਚਰ ਔਰ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਲਿਬ ਇਲਮ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਤੇ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਰੂਲ ਦਾ ਤਾਲੁਕ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਕੋਰਟ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਆਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਕੌਮੀ ਜ਼ੁਬਾਨ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਜ਼ੁਬਾਨ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਤਨੀ ਵੀ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ ਜਿਤਨੀ ਵੀ ਖਤੋ ਕਿਤਾਬਤ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਇਸੇ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ 'ਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਤਾਲੁਕ ਹੈ ਬਤੌਰ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਦੇ ਤਾਲਿਬ ਇਲਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਫੇਮਸ ਡਿਕਟਮ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਦੇਅਰ ਇਜ਼ ਨੋ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਨੋ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਜੂਦ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਰਿਲੇਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਗਰ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਸ਼ਕਲਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਰਕੀਓਲੋਜਿਸਟ ਹੋ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੋਣ ਉਹ ਬਣੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕੁਝ ਮੋਨੂਮੈਂਟਸ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਕੇ ਕਤਬੇ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਵੀਸੀ ਸੀ ਇਸ ਦੌਰ 'ਚ ਦੇਖੋ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੀ ਜ਼ੁਬਾਨ ਸੀ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੈਟਰਨੇਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੁਫ਼ਤਗੂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਔਰ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੋ ਵੱਡੇ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਸੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਫਕੀਰ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਚਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਵਕਤ ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਰੂਲਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਦੀ ਤਰਵੀਜ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਦੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਰੋਲ ਪਲੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਰਾਤੀ 2-3 ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਵੈਬੀਨਾਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਇਕਰਾਮ ਅਲੀ ਮਲਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਔਰ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਅਜ਼ੀਜ਼ ਅਹਿਮਦ ਨੇ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਲੇਟਰ ਮੁਗਲ ਇਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਆਸੀ ਔਰ ਸਕਾਫਤੀ ਪਸ ਮੰਜ਼ਰ ਸੀ ਉਸ 'ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੋ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਸੀ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦੇ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਫਕੀਰ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਔਰ ਚਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ, ਇਹ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੀ ਤਰਵੀਜ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰੋਲ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਮਿਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਸ਼ਹਿਜ਼ਾਦੇ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਖਾਨਦਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਦਰਸੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤਾਲੀਮ ਹਾਸਿਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲਸ ਕੋਟ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਮਿਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਨੂਰ ਅਹਿਮਦ ਚਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਮਦਰਸਾ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਲਾਹੌਰ 'ਚ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਜ਼ੁਬਾਨੋ ਅਦਬ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ। ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਈਆ ਹਰੀ ਸਿੰਘ, ਬੈਲੀ ਰਾਮ, ਦੀਵਾਨ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਰਾਮ, ਦੀਵਾਨ ਭੀਮ ਸੈਨ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਕਾਲਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਤਾਲੀਮ ਹਾਸਿਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਕੀਰ ਖਾਨਦਾਨ ਦਾ ਮਦਰਸਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਨੰਬਰ ਆਫ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਆਫ ਕਾਸਟ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੀ ਤਾਲੀਮ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ। ਅਗਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਦੌਰ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੋ ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ ਕਰੀਏ, ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਦੌਰ ਔਰ ਇੱਕ ਪੋਸਟ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੌਰ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਅਰਸੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਕੋਰਟ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਗਰ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਵੀਸੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰੀਏ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ਵੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਅਜ਼ੀਜ਼ ਅਹਿਮਦ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਤਵੀਲ ਬਿਬਲੋਗ੍ਰਾਫੀਕਲ ਲਿਸਟ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੁੱਢਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਰਿਸਾਲਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ, ਬੂਏ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਤਵਾਰੀਖ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਔਰ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਦੌਲਤ ਰਾਏ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਮਿਰਤੇ ਦਾਵਤ ਅਬਾਸੀ, ਗੁਲਾਮ ਹੁਸੈਨ ਖਾਨ ਤਬਾ ਤਬਾਈ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਸੀਰਤੁਲ ਮੁਤਾਖਰੀਨ, ਗੁਲਾਮ ਜਲਾਨੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਜੰਗੇ ਮੁਲਤਾਨ, ਇਰਾਦਤ ਖਾਨ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਇਰਾਦਤ ਖਾਨ, ਕਨਈਆ ਲਾਲ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਫਰਨਾਮਾ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ, ਖਾਫੀ ਖਾਨ ਦੀ ਮੁੰਤਖਬੁਲ ਬਾਬ, ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਵਕਤ ਰਾਏ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਕਾਸਮ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਦਾ ਇਬਰਤਨਾਮਾ ਔਰ ਮੋਹਸਨ ਫਾਨੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦਬਿਸਤਾਨ ਮਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ, ਕਾਰੀ ਨੂਰ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਦਾ ਜੰਗਨਾਮਾ ਐਟਸੈਟਰਾ। ਇੱਕ ਤਵੀਲ ਫਹਿਰਿਸਤ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਚੰਦ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਇੱਕ ਆਲਟਰਨੇਟ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਦੌਰ ਦੀਆਂ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਕਾਸਮ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਇਬਰਤਨਾਮਾ। ਇਸ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਗੁਫ਼ਤਗੂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਚੁਣਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਸਮ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਦਾ ਤਾਲੁਕ ਚੂੰਕਿ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਰੂਲ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਤਸਵੀਰਾਂ ਖਿੱਚੀਆਂ, ਮੰਜ਼ਰਕਸ਼ੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਦੌਰ ਦੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਹੈ ਇਬਰਤਨਾਮਾ, ਇਹ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਔਰੰਗਜ਼ੇਬ ਦੀ ਡੈਥ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਦਾਤ ਬਾਰਹਾ ਦਾ ਰੋਲ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਤੱਕ, ਔਰ ਇੱਕ ਮੁਕੰਮਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਅਪਸ ਐਂਡ ਡਾਊਨ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਮੁਗਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਦੌਰ 'ਚ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਵੀਸੀ ਦਾ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕੋਰਟ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਲਿਖਵਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ, ਬਾਦਸ਼ਾਹ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਮੁਅਰਖ ਮੁਕਰਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਨ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਲਿਖਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਸਮ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਚੂੰਕਿ ਜ਼ਵਾਲ ਦੇ ਦੌਰ ਦਾ ਹਿਸਟੋਰੀਅਨ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਹਨੇ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਸ਼ਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੁਗਲ ਕੋਰਟ ਨੂੰ ਔਰ ਮੁਗਲ ਕੋਰਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਖ ਰੂਲ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਜ਼ਮਾਨਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਹਿਮ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੈ। ਮਿਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮਰਹਟਿਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਔਰ ਜਾਟਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੰਪੇਨ ਸਨ ਇਸ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਤਫਸੀਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਕੀ ਰੋਲ ਸੀ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਇਸ ਸਾਰੀ ਕੰਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਬੜੀ ਅਹਿਮ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੁਗਲ ਕੋਰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਰਾਨੀ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਰਾਨੀ ਸਕਾਲਰ ਵੀ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ, ਇਰਾਨੀ ਔਰ ਤੁਰਾਨੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਸ 'ਚ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੜਾਈ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਹਨਾਂ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੇ ਸਨ, ਕਿਉਂ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ, ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੋਟਿਵ ਸਨ, ਕੀ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਸਨ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਸਮ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਦੇ ਇਬਰਤਨਾਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਮਿਲਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਗੁਜਰਾਤ, ਬੰਗਾਲ, ਦੱਕਨ, ਅਵਧ, ਸਿੰਧ, ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੈਂਡ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਸੀ, ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਅਹਿਮ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ। ਉੱਥੇ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੈਂਡ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਸੀ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਲੇਟਰ ਇਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਸਮ ਇਬਰਤ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਇਬਰਤਨਾਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਗਰ ਮੁਖਤਸਰ ਵਕਤ 'ਚ ਮੈਂ 4-5 ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਸੀਰੀਅੰਟ ਫੀਚਰ ਇਸ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦੇ ਦੱਸਾਂ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਟਿਵ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੌਰ ਦੀ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨਲ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਸੀ, ਗਰੋਹੀ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਬੜੇ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ 'ਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਿਵਲੀ ਲਿਖਣਾ ਬੜਾ ਔਖਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ, ਬੜਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਬਜੈਕਟਿਵਿਟੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਜ਼ਹਬ, ਧਰਮ ਜਾਂ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨਿਸਬਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਦੀ ਸਾਈਡ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਸ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਿਵਲੀ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਵੇ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖੋ ਤੇ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਜ਼ੁਬਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਬੜੇ ਹੀ ਸਲੀਸ, ਸਿੰਪਲ ਔਰ ਈਜ਼ੀ ਵੇ 'ਚ ਯੂਟਿਲਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਕਿਤਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੇਟਸ ਸਨਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੈ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਐਂਡ ਸਪੇਸ ਦਾ ਉਹ ਇਸਤੇਮਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਵਾਕਿਆਤ ਨੂੰ ਤਜਜ਼ੀਆਤੀ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ 'ਚ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਐਨਾਲਿਟਿਕਲੀ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਸ ਦੌਰ ਦੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਲਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਲਿਟਰੇਚਰ ਇੱਕ ਆਲਟਰਨੇਟ ਲਿਟਰੇਚਰ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੌਰ ਦਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੇ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਔਰ ਹਲਕੇ ਫੁਲਕੇ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਾਰੀਖ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵੈਬਿਨਾਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਮਜ਼ੀਦ ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਗੇ ਔਨ ਬੋਰਡ ਲਵੋ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਰ ਇੰਨੇ
बहुत मेहरबानी थैंक यू वेरी मच डॉक्टर महबूब हुसैन साहब ठीक है आ रही है may I now request our very special guest from Iran because we are talking on Persian language today to share with us her studies about Persian historiography on Sikh rule. Dr. Nargis Jabar Nasab, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to all and good morning and happiness to all. I am very happy to participate in this webinar. Thank you for this opportunity. Also, thanks to my dear friend, Dr. Faliha Kazemi, who made this. Many thanks to the webinar organizers. I wish you all success and good health in these difficult days. My article is about Persian poetic historiography on Sikh role. I will try to present it to you briefly. And I want check again. My name is Nargis Jabar Nasab. I am from Islamic Azad University, South Tehran branch in Tehran, Iran. The poetry and literature of any nation is a mirror of the thoughts, beliefs, and tendencies of that nation. Persian language and literature, with the arrival of Ghaznavis in India, became popular and common in that land in the first half of the 11th century AD. The 16th and 17th century are the heyday and successful period of Persian poetry in India. Persian courts of the Mughal Empire of India were a center for attracting Persian poets. Persian was the language of science and the official language of the court, and poets tried to express and describe their thoughts in Persian and in a poetic way. There were always many poets in the court who recited poetry on official days and festivals and celebrations, and received gifts from kings, and kings accepted poets by their side. Court gifts and grants were a strong factor in the improvement and development of poetry and literature, and the accuracy and attention of the nobles and kings and their scientific ability caused Persian poetry and literature to grow in the courts of Pakistan and India. In the late 18th century, the Sikhs under the leadership of the Maharaja Ranjit Singh formed a government in Lahore and ruled over Punjab, Kashmir, and some parts of Afghanistan for more than half a century. This empire, from 1799 AD, began with the capture and conquest of Lahore by Ranjit Singh and continued and lasted until 1849. Despite all the differences and problems that the Sikh and with Persian-speaking kings and Muslims, they choose Persian as their official and court language. This leads to the creation of valuable and precious works in Persian in the Sikh courts. For centuries, Persian was the means of unity between Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims in the subcontinent of Pakistan and India. The glories and rich content of Persian language and literature even attracted the Sikhs to the extent that they also used Persian language in composing their poems and proved their ability in writing and composing Persian poetry by writing sensitive poems. The tradition of historiography in Persian in India began with the writing of the book like Taj al-Ma'asir Nizami Nayshaburi at the beginning of 13th century. After writing this book, several books were written in Persian on various historical and literary topics. In this article, some Sikh Persian poets are introduced who have created historical, epic, and sometimes religious poems in the form of masnavi, rhyme couplets, with the influence of Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, and by welcoming the rhythm, meter, and style of composing Ferdowsi's Shahnameh. Historical masnavi play an important role in compiling and writing this historic period of the King of Delhi. By studying these works, one can acquaint with the political, social, cultural, and historical situation of India and Pakistan in the Sikh period. After the formation and establishment of the first Muslim dynasty of India at the beginning of the 13th and 14th century, many developments and changings took place in various historical, cultural, and social areas of India. It can say that one of the most important developments in the spread of Persian language as the official language in India and the writing and compiling of numerous poetic and prose works, and the formation of Islamic historiography in India. Historical prose works left from 13th and 14th century, such as Tabaqat Nasiri, Tarikh Firuzshahi written by Berni, Tarikh Firuzshahi by Afif, and Futuhat al-Firuzshahi by Firuzshah Tughlaq. They were written in India in the early stages of Islamic historiography and are considered and included to be the main sources of the history of the King of Delhi, especially in the 13th and 14th century. In addition, many books of poetry in the form of historical masnavi were written by poets such as Amir Khosrow Dehlavi in this period, due to the contemporaneity of these poets with events and circumstances, their presence in the court of the kings of Delhi, and access to official documents and letters, as well as the limited resources related to the 13th and 14th century. These poetic works are containing great importance in the study of political, social, and cultural history of India in the 13th and 14th century. Although these works are not free from poetic exaggerations and overstatements, but due to their unique features, they are among the main sources and references for studying the history of this period. And any research about this period related to the history of the kings of Delhi without using these works will not be complete. Iranian historiography has influenced Indian historiography. In this effect, Persian language is one of the most important factors influencing Indian historiography. The Persian poetic histories written in this period were divided into several categories. First, some Hindus in the poems they wrote also referred to Sikh historical issues like Kanhayalal Hindi in Zafarnameh Ranjit Singh, like Diwan Amarnath Singh in Zafarnameh Ranjit Singh. Some Sikhs in the poems they wrote also pointed out to Sikh historical issues like Lale Suhanlal Suri in Umdat al-Tawarikh. And third, some Sikhs in their poems they wrote also mention to other historical issues of the region like Rai Amar Singh متخلص به خوشدل هندی in تاریخ فرمانروایان هنود. Second, Maharaja Kalyan Singh متخلص به عاشق in تاریخ ناظمان Bengal in two parts. First part خلاصة التواريخ and second part واردات قاسمی. Third, لال سیکراج متخلص به سبقت in جنگنامه about فتح سید حسین علی خان. And fourth, Raja Ratan Singh Zakhmi in Sultan al-Tawarikh about Awadh dynasty. The meaning of historical epic and religious epic is a poem that has been composed in the form of masnavi and includes mentioning of courage and bravery, while its meaning and content is historic. In such poems, the poet uses the rhythm. If my time is finished, please tell me. I have time?
Yes,
Oh,
we have enough time.
Oh, yeah, okay. The poet uses the rhythm, meter, and form, of the epic poem. In addition, he also imitates from the original epics in his required words, compositions, and interpretations, and he uses their method in arranging battle scenes, describing battles and banquets, attributing the features of national heroes and their extraordinary works to historical and religious personality. Required words, composition, and interpretations, and he uses their method. Composing such poems became popular and common among Persian poets from about 13th and 14th century, gradually in Iran, Rome, and India. Several poems appeared according rhymes and meter of mutaqarib. This is about historical poems. بحر متقارب مسمن مقصور یا محذوف. Different kinds of rhymes and meter in poetry. In the description of the reigns of the Safavid, Osmani, and Mughal kings, are those who were engaged in composing seemingly heroic and epic poems, either intended to Ferdowsi's Shahnameh or to Iskandarnameh Nizami. The heroism of some victories, warriors, and marshals cased to spark a heroic story about their work in the language of storytellers. Most of these poems are related and dedicated to expressing the bravery and conquests of kings and their generals. One of the most important and historical parts of these poems is the events, circumstances, and composing. Historical poems often include content and items such as about explanation of the achievement and rise to power of the kings of a dynasty, about second, about the kings of a dynasty and their successors, and third, about description of the king's wars, the preliminaries of the war and the events of the war in full and with detailed explanation. And fourth, about mentioning the victories of the king and the commanders, describing the heroism, works, and bravery deeds, and the honors and greatness of ethnic or individual. 5, about travels of the king, and 6, about the history of India and Pakistan, about the history of a region and a state, and so on. Some of the poems include the biography of one of the national heroes. And second, it is full of heroic stories, almost all of them which have been arranged and retold in imitation of Ferdowsi's Shahnameh. And third, most heroic works and deeds took place in the land of India and Pakistan and are associated with the names of the great. One of the important features of these historical poems is that they are fictional and narratives. Poems are often told in the form of epic stories. The presence of top heroes in these epics is another their characteristic. Extraordinary or exaggerated events that are mentioned in the epic, and sometimes it is difficult to believe them, are other features of historical epics, with the difference that the heroes of all these narratives and stories are almost known. For this reason, they are included and considered as historical or social narratives. Most of the historical epics written and composed in Pakistan and India have been written following the rhythm, form, and style of Ferdowsi's Shahnameh. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nargis Jabbar Nasab. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, my name is Nargis Jabari Nasab. I am from Islamic Azhar University, South Tehran branch.
Yes, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm sure much information, additional information from our own researches or knowledge would have been given by Dr. Nargis. Thank you very much. May I now request Dr. Harpreet Kaur Ji, Principal of Mata Sundari College for Women, University of Delhi. Please, Dr. Harpreet Kaur Ji.
ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
Nadeem ji, I visited you, Dyal Singh Research and Cultural Forum in 2018. I had come here specially to do research on the Gurdwaras related to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and any visit of any academician in Pakistan and not visiting Dyal Singh library, I think would be incomplete. And so that is why we met you and saw your research activities and endeavors, which is really appreciable. Also, Dr. Mehboob Hussain ji, who set in tempo and he elucidated the entire Persian sources at length also, and he described it very beautifully. Professor Ishtaq Ahmed ji, who is going to join very shortly. Dr. Nargis, who spoke very beautifully, and Dr. Faleha Zahara Kazmi. I hope I am pronouncing the names correctly. I want to actually talk about Persian historiography and Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. Is visible?
Yes.
My screen is visible to everyone? Yeah.
Yeah.
I am especially focusing on Baba Banda Singh Bahadur and Persian historiography. And one thing very beautifully which we can describe about Baba Banda Singh Bahadur is that he was actually a recluse, a Bairagi who became Karam Yogi. And we have many instances when, you know, it is the reverse, when, you know, people go to become a recluse and they become Bairagi. But this is the only example when a Bairagi became a Karam Yogi. And I first of all, I just want to explain that how his Sikh historical actually takes place with an explicitly religious framework. We know that, of course, Sikhs are centered in Punjab, but now Sikhs have global diaspora. They are placed in almost all the countries of the world. Very few countries do not have Sikhs. And history of the Sikhs has to be understood in the communitarian and theological dynamics. So we have to understand the religion specifically, that religious framework will come in. And what is that religious framework? It is a whole lineage of the gurus and the teachings of the gurus, and also the formation of the community as a central institution where gurus are primary. The community is formed on the basis of the teachings of the guru. For example, Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, "Kirat karo, van chapo, ate naam japo." Early Sikh history has paucity of primary resources. We do not have, and it is very surprising that only 550 years ago, but we do not have so many resources, and so resources are missing. And the Sikh history is not found in the written documents as such. So it is really surprising. Early approaches to reading available sources will possibly unleash potential. We have to read the sources dialogically. We have to understand it within that framework. So text and traditions are important. Yes, we have to understand and read texts and traditions, but we have to understand texts and traditions in those circumstances and in those cultural framework. The Sikh case, I think it is this particular orientation of Punjabi language is there, but Persian traditions are very predominant, and they are a part and parcel of the entire Sikh culture as well. We had the whole school of European historiography, but these British and European powers who were writing in colonial rule painted the picture very differently. And there is a debate also that whether Islamic intellectual traditions and the writers writing for the glorification of the state introduced a form of historiography. There is a debate, but yes, I can understand, and we can say that, you know, they provide an alternative to the modern European forms. And Persian historiography, for that matter, is very important. And so a broad exploration of the history related to the notions of historicity, that is plural, and at the intersection of the history and religion, both are very important. Now, Persian sources are very important in Sikh historiography. As Dr. Mehboob has also pointed out, that Persian was the court language as well as the language of the community. And during the 800 years of Turko-Afghan and Mughal rule in North India, it was dominant literary language, and a lot of intellectual and cultural richness was there. And also the rise and evolution of the Sikh coincided with this period. So we have to analyze the whole situation in the terms of scope, sources, methods, and limitations also. That there are certain limitations that Persian or European historiography writers were actually subjected to. So Persian sources, I am mentioning a few. Of course, this list is not exhaustive. It is just indicative. That is the Bastani Mazhab. Again, I repeat, I might make certain mistakes in pronouncing Persian sources. You may, my apologies for that beforehand. So the Bastani Mazhab, written by Mohsen Fani, and he was a Mohammedan traveler of Kashmiri origin. And he mentions at length about Guru Arjan's blessings for rebel Prince Khusro. And he also met Guru Har Gobind and Guru Har Rai in 1643 and 44 in Kiratpur. He talks at length about the Guru Parampara and also the Masang system, which was declining at that time. Then Abul Fazl Akbarnama, is again a very important documentary source in which we find Akbar visited Guru Arjan at Govindwal, and he remitted revenues of Lahore Suba on the Guru's request. Then we have Tuzuke Jahangiri, which written by Emperor Jahangir himself, and this bears a testimony to the martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev. The letter of victory, which is a literally masterpiece, it is addressed to Emperor Aurangzeb in 1706. Then we have Muqtile Imam Rabbani by Sheikh Ahmad Mujadid Al-Sani or Ahmad Sirin. Then we have Tamashna, the diary of Timur. It contains the history of persecution of the Sikhs by Mir Manu and Subedar of Lahore. And then we have, this is very important documentary source, Hakikat-e-Bayan Urzoe Firqa Istikan, authored by Timur Shah. He was son of Ahmad Shah Abdali, and he writes about Guru Nanak's philosophy also. He talks about destruction of the holy lake of Ramdaspur by Afghans, and it was later named Amritsar, we all know. Then Qazi Nur Muhammad's Jangnama. This is very important historical source because it contains the details of Shah's 7th invasion of India. Here he praises Sikh for their courage and valor. And now he says that although his philosophy does not match with but he actually appreciates the Sikhs in the war. He says these are the people who will not run after fugitive. They will not plunder women. There is no adultery found amongst them. So he gives lavish praises on the Sikh soldiers. Now I will specify on the Persian sources related to Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. Non-Sikhs, especially the Persian writers, they took much greater notice of Banda Singh Bahadur and later, of course, Maharaja Ranjit Singh also, than that of Guru Gobind Singh also. Why? Because I think what I believe is that political activities of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur made them have greater notice. And they analyzed the socio-political situations also. They were written as state tribunals of the Mughal court. Their was the Sikh unsympathetic and biased. The role of Banda Singh was not perceived in the correct perspective. There was a lot of propaganda against him. The allegations proved baseless. And Principal Sadbir Singh says, if you see the feats and all those victories of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, I think that these all propaganda would be rendered useful. They are also using derogatory language for Babaji, and there is loose, sometimes repetitive and occasionally contradictory in detail. But nevertheless, they are very valuable sources than all evidences, because they provide an insight into Babaji's military expeditions and also the unparalleled martyrdom of the great general, the first victor to defeat the Mughal army, and the founder of the first Sikh sovereign state. Now, Muhammad Qasim's Ibratnama, he is the earliest writer. Muhammad Qasim is the earliest writer. He was government accountant in Lahore till 17. When he left for Delhi, he gives details of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur's activities based on what he had seen also and partially what he heard also. So there are a lot of hearsay. The revolts of 1709, 10, 1730 is mentioned at length. Although the text is very weak in chronology, like other Persian narratives, he never uses the name Banda except in the heading. He rather uses Guru, and he also says he is a Bhairupia who resembled Guruji, and he could easily be taken as an impostor. But surprisingly for him, people responding to him so greatly that they would have responded to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Similarly, people had the same following. And also the Guru obliged the peasant to submit and plundered the travelers. Now, this is his opinion. Then he talks about defeat of Wazir Khan, in which Sher Muhammad and Khwaja Ali of Malay Kotra was also killed. Now his sympathies, of course, are with Wazir Khan and Muslims in general. And he underscores the atrocities of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. And Waziz Khan Peshkar Sachdanand was his special target because his earlier acts of cruelty towards the young Sahibzadas of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Now, city of Sirhind, according to him, was destroyed, and Bad Singh was appointed as Subedars. And he also at length mentions that officers, those corrupt officials who were exploiting the masses were replaced, and Pargana officers were appointed. And for this, I think William Irwin also says that even a small person like a scavenger and all, he would become an official of Banda Singh Bahadur, and he would get the same pride and same status, and people would look that he has become something. So there was no difference of any caste, any religion there, or in that matter, for that matter. Then he also mentions territory from river Satluj up to Karnal was passed under Banda Singh Bahadur. Then he specifically mentions that headquarters were at Mukhlispur near Sandora, and from there he set out commanders for further subjugation of the territories. That means he had a place, he had made a capital, and so independent state was established by him, and there is no doubt about it. Now, Muhammad Qasim provides useful information, particularly on the events of 1710, 13, and 1516. But he does not touch upon Banda Singh renewed activity in Satluj-Yamuna divide in 1712. That was immediately after the death of Bahadur Shah. He is an eyewitness to the besieged Gadi of Gurdaspur, and he also mentions that the Mughal commanders there prayed that there should be some divine intervention and God should help them so that Banda should take flight, so that their prestige is saved without risking their lives. So now this siege, as we know, continued for 3 or 4 months. Banda surrendered. 200 men came out with him, and the fort was plundered. Then Zakaria Khan, son of Abdul Samad Khan, and they escorted the prisoners to Delhi, and Muhammad Amin Khan with a drawn sword was behind him. Then he says on 11th March 1716, victorious holy warriors brought Guru as a prisoner. And also mentions about that he
फोन कर रहे हो मुझे बार बार?
Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, Dr. Harpreet.
So there was some disturbance. I'll continue.
Yes, now, we can hear you.
Now, so I was there. Now he also gives the description how Banda Singh Bahadur was dressed up, that he was dressed up in a court dress and gold embroidered red turban, and also the color he mentions. Now he also says that in front of the elephant there were heads of the Sikhs, and also a dead cat was hanging. That signified that all condemned men in Gurdaspur had been captured. Then the number of the Sikhs who were captured along with Banda Singh Bahadur was 750. And they all entered in the procession in Delhi, seated on camels. Their hands were tied up. Their heads were having high caps of ridiculous shapes, which were made of sheepskin. And woolly side was outward, so people ridiculed them also. And this kind of a tamasha in Delhi, nobody had watched till date. And then Muhammad Amin Khan, also Bahadur Zang was also there. Kamruddin Khan and Zakaria Khan were there behind the procession. He also says that then Banda Singh Bahadur was taken to the emperor and he was detained in prison. And he also mentions that I went to the loon mandis, the salt market, and then I accompanied them to the imperial fort also. Then when the matter was taken up and execution was done, then it was 100 people every day who were beheaded in front of Chabutre Kotwali towards Tripolia. And 1 week's time, all the 740 were put to death. And he says, I also went to witness But by the time I went there, things were lost and the executions had already been taken place. Then he says Baba Banda Singh Bahadur and his 5-6-year-old son was the last to be executed. Now, of course, we see Muhammad Qasim's resentment towards Banda Singh Bahadur is very obvious, and he is praising the Muslims, and he is using some contemptuous language for Banda Singh. Now, Mirza Muhammad Harsi, Ibratnama, it also gives day-to-day account from 1705 to 1719. And this is author's own narrative, and from the year dethronement and death of Farrukhsiyar. He is again using derogatory language for the Sikhs, but his narrative is very close to contemporary. And he says again that when it was the anniversary of Farrukhsiyar's coronation, the capture of the accused guru, that is the Banda Singh Bahadur, along with 2,000 Sikh was there, that news he got. Then he is again eyewitness of the entry of the procession in the Loon Mandi. And now, but what he mentions is that the Sikhs had no signs of humility. Oh, Shabad gaande rahe ne, te e kehande rahe ne, jiski vas jis aage rakhe, prakti agya manne mathe. Now, they were kept in custody for some time, and again, 100 number is mentioned to be beheaded every day. And but there is no specific mention of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur and his execution in his account. Now, Tazkirat Sulatin Chagarta by Muhammad Hadi Kambar. Now, again, he was a retired Mughal official and scholar who gives full-scale history of the Mughal dynasty. Now, his chronological framework is very strong. He is very, very precise in the dates. And his actually account is fixes the dates and it helps in fixing the date. He has given vivid eyewitness to the description of the battle at Sandora. Then from 1710 and 11, his account is very detailed. Later on, he followed by the action on 13th October, 12th December against Banda and Khalsa. That counter attack is also mentioned. 4 years, 17 to 14, there is very little information. He doesn't mention about Sikhs in 1712. From 1713, only 2 incidents are mentioned. And 1714, there is nothing else. Then, last phase of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur's career was given. So, Kambar Khan's information relates largely to the first and last phases of Banda. Now, he says that, the people of the Banda's followers belong from lowly caste. They were also tanners, banjaras, and sweepers. And he highlights Banda's atrocities as well. Then he also mentions about the plunder of Sirhind, which amounted to more than 2 crores of rupees. He gives at length mention about Sarbara Khan, the Kotwal, who had 10% of this doomed sect beheaded every day. And he mentions the whole thing in the Kotwali also. And then at last he says that Banda Singh Bahadur and his 3-year-old son, along with 26 companions, were executed near the tomb of Khwaja Qutubuddin Bakhtiar Kaki, and the world was cleansed of the presence of that polluted one. Then Kafi Khan, Mungtag Labab, now I'm not pronouncing it correctly, I suppose, but it is authored by Muhammad Hasim or Hasim Ali Khan, and is popularly known as Kafi Khan. This is the most used Persian source, and it is translated also. It is by John Dawson, and 2 volumes it is found. But it has got loose chronology. Inaccuracies are there, but it gives a fairly detailed account. Earlier account which we have mentioned, Mirza Muhammad, Mirza Qasim, and Hadi Kambar, they give full account of the Sikhs, but Kafi Khan mentions few things. He is of course eyewitness on the account of the Battle of Chapparjiri, and he fought and he mentions the bravery with Banda Singh Bahadur avenged the whole situation, and wicked Wazir Khan, according to him, was killed. Now, Bahadur Shah's assault on Banda Singh forces at Lahore near Sandora is also mentioned. And it is important because he is the only Persian writer who writes that Fateh Darshan is the war cry of Banda Singh followers. So this is not mentioned by any other Persian scholar. Then Banda Singh and his fellow captives got entry into Delhi. Again, 746 is mentioned by him also. And he is an eyewitness also. He is often quoted also. And there are few things which he specifically mentions, because we find this very interesting story of Nihal Singh, who was about to be executed. His mother got orders from Shir and Sayyid Abdul Khan that my Sikh that my boy has been taken forcibly by these soldiers of Bandas, and he is not a Sikh. But this boy said, he ran to the slaughter place and he said, no, I am a Sikh and I want to be, and my mother is lying. So this kind of account is found in this Kafi Khan's account. Then one thing which he specifically mentions is that Khatris of the Delhi offered money to Muhammad Amin Khan to save Banda's life, of course, they were not successful in it. Nama, on the basis of Farrukhshir Nama, Dr. Ganda Singh has given account of the coin that was struck by Banda, and this struck coin in the two words, by the grace of the true Lord, victory to Guru Gobind Singh, the King. The sword of Nanak is the granter of all desires. So सिक्का जो उन्होंने मारा सी, वो डॉक्टर गंडा सिंह ने इत्थे ही देखिया, फारूक बहुत ही सोना है. Then there is talk about also the kettle, which meant to feed the poor, the sword, which meant to protect the weak and helpless, victory and unhesitating patronage, and everything is attributed to Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So the sovereignty of Baba Banda Singh was not in his name, but in the name of Guru Nanak, and everything he attributed to the Gurus. Then Muhammad Shafi's Mere Waridat. Now it's a straightforward history of the Mughal dynasty, and Banda Singh is found only in few extracts, not much, and the social character of his rebellion is presented there. And that also in the passages where he is mentioning Bahadur Shah, but he mentions few things, that the building of a stone fort in Shivalik Hills near Sandora came up very quickly. He says that fortress came up very quickly. Then he said that the official sent by Banda would take all the precious goods and deposit it in the ill-fated treasury, and no person could oppose his orders. Then we have Akbare Darbare Mola. Now these are Mughal court newsletters relating to Punjab, 1707 to 1718, and they were translated by Dr. Bhagat Singh, and they are found there in the Punjab Past and Present, edited by Dr. Ganda Singh. As we know that Mughal emperors had an elaborate system of collection of news for all over the country, and network of official writers were theirs. And they would compile the news for the king, send the news sheet to the imperial capital, where a regular department was there, and various states and provinces were stationed, and those news were very easily transferred, and these akhbars were presented to the emperor in the consolidated form, and emperor used to give his orders based on the news, that what is happening. At the times we find that the emperor has reinforced the army based on these news. Then newsletter called as Akbare Darbare Mola, they are summaries of the news submitted to the emperor. They are not just court news, but aggregate news, summaries of the news submitted to the emperor. It's very invaluable manuscript. It is now lying in Persian at Jaipur and in Bikaner. And Dr. Ganda Singh and Siddharth Teja Singh, the chief engineer of Jaipur that time, and Timani, who was superintendent of all historical records department, they have, Dr. Ganda Singh studied them, and especially the Punjabi news. And now it is found basically on the 220 full-scape pages, beginning with the 9th year of Aurangzeb's reign to the 7th of the Farrukhshirs. We find in Aurangzeb's period, there is a big gap of time in these akhbars. But akhbars of Bahadur Shah, Jahandar Shah, and Farooq Shah, there is very less gap, sometimes only very few days also. And news are related mainly to the political affairs of Punjab and anti-Mughal armed movement spearheaded by Punjab under Banda Singh Bahadur. The Hijri dates have been converted into Christian era for the convenience. Now, the entries of Akbar-e-Darbar-e Maula shed light on day-to-day activities of the Sikh movement and Delhi emperor, who was upset and he wanted to crush it, and always frightful because Banda Singh Bahadur kept three, Bahadur Shah also, Farooq Shah also, and Jahandar Shah, three emperors were always on their toes because of Banda Singh activities. The empire state machinery was mobilized against the rebels. And but these news writers have certain misgivings also. They have used Banda Singh as Guru and Govind Singh, Guru Govind Singh, and entirely they have to 7 years of activity. This mistake persisted. But we all know Banda Singh was not a guru. He was only, he took the blessing from Guru Govind Singh and came to North India to see
Professor
right there. Then entries about Ajit Singh, son of Guru Gobind Singh, is also mentioned there. And this Ajit Singh is basically not Sahibzada of Guru Gobind Singh ji, but he was foster son brought up by Mata Sundari ji, and he was named in his memory, but he was disinherited, we know, and also he was killed later. Now, Sikh comrades, according to Akbar-e-Darbar-e Maula, were untrained also, undisciplined also, and improperly equipped also, because we know that many of the people who were interested in looting also sided with Banda Singh Bahadur, and they had become a part of his army also, along with those people who had faith in the Sikh religion. But he says, Akbar-e-Darbar-e Maula says that very strange tradition is there that they call one person an army. Then the social revolution in Punjab during Banda Singh Bahadur's political activities is also elaborated in Akbar-e-Darbar-e Maula. Then we have Asra Samdi. This is by an unknown writer. It has been written. It is written in poetry form. There are only 7 chapters. And this manuscript is preserved at Punjab University, Lahore. And it is supposedly written in 1728 and 29 as guessed from his own contents. The writer belonged to Kalanur. And he says that again, he repeats that a Sikh is called as Sikhs. And they are called as plural. And their community is so named as Nanak Panthi. And he says this community in peace do not harm anybody. They are very humble. They do not harm anybody. He describes Banda Singh Bahadur as resolute, brave, and very, very handsome. And many came to see him. This writer attributes the reason of surrender of Banda Singh Bahadur in the fort of Gurdas Nangal. He says because of hunger and thirst, and they were forced to eat anything which was possible. Because of that, and he also says that Sikhs subjected to atrocities, and he calls I will just end up with this last slide. Persian sources have got an everlasting legacy also, and many practical solution and practical things have been found based on the Persian sources also. They have been identifying the places related to Baba Banda Singh Bahadur. These were forced to go into oblivion because of our neglect. Already the names I have mentioned few names, but there are others also which are there part of. Because based on that, we could locate the places related to Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, especially in Delhi. The martyrdom place of 746 is near Delhi Public Library, which is UNESCO site nowadays. And this martyrdom place of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur in Mehrauli, near the tomb of Khwaja Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, that was also located in 1970 by Dr. Ganda Singh and his team. And this cremation place of body parts of Babaji is mentioned by Timur's son in Haqiqat-e Bayan. Now he says that probably the Khatris who were shopkeepers took the body parts of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur from the Mughal officials who were functioning there due to two reasons. Basically, they bribed them, and also it was not possible to keep those body parts because after all it was the place, or through this place people went to Khwaja Bakhtiar Kaki's tomb, which is very, very holy, and that is why body parts had to be removed, and they were cremated at Barapula. So during the in 2016, when we were celebrating the 12th centenary of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, that time this Barapula flyover was renamed by the Delhi government as Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Setu, and many other also places related. So what I mean to say is that Persian sources are very important, and they have helped us to locate many places, especially in Delhi, and this work was done by us. So Persian sources are very important, and the more we look into it, we will find those gaps which are there in history, and we can fill those gaps. So the need is that we should focus our energies to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harpreet Kaur ji. Thoda bahut धन्यवादी हैं. You have given a very exhaustive study of that period, including Banda Singh Bahadur's period. Thank you very much. Now I will invite if Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed has already arrived.
Yes, I am here, sir.
Professor, sir. Could you please share?
Am I audible?
Could you please? Yes. I can listen to you. Everybody can listen to you, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much. Should I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you, sir. First of all, I am very much thankful to you and the Dyal Singh Research Trust and also Hanum Faliha for inviting me to this occasion. It's really a very interesting topic, and it made us to look into the Persian sources. Though, due to Corona and all that, we are on the university campus, and our university is also our library is also closed. University is virtually open, so there had been difficulty in finding books and materials as far as the Persian historiography on Sikh period is concerned. But despite whatever we could get it from here and there, some material we got it from some archives which is in PDF form. Some material has been sent by my elder sister Khanum Nargis Jabari Nasab. She is from Iran. She also had some material she shared with me, and in return I also shared something which we could find in India. So this is how, after going through those material and time was also very short, but after 2-3 days, we found that this, Persian historiography is very, very important, and it is well recorded as far as Sikh history is concerned. We have heard so many things about so many sources dealing with the Sikh rule and the role of Persian, because Persian had been prominent language those days. So most of the things were, of course, written in finding books and materials as far as the Persian historiography on Sikh period is concerned. But despite whatever we could get it from here and there, some material we got it from some archives which is in PDF form. Some material has been sent by my elder sister Khanum Nargis Jabari Nasab. She is from Iran. She also had some material she shared with me, and in return I also shared something which we could find in India. So this is how, after going through those material and time was also very short, but after 2-3 days, we found that this, Persian historiography is very, very important, and it is well recorded as far as Sikh history is concerned. We have heard so many things about so many sources dealing with the Sikh rule and the role of Persian, because Persian had been prominent language those days. So most of the things were, of course, written in Persian. So with little brief, I say that during Mughal period, there had been a powerful network of acquiring news from all over the Sultanate, all over the part. Means every part of the state under the rule of emperors during different period of time were using this network. Collection of news became very important in order to manage and run the affairs. And here comes the historicity. Means historical actuality of persons and various events. Factuality and authenticity in terms of preparing a chronicle or news report had been of paramount value in 16th, 17th, and 18th century India, where we see the Mughal dynasty as well as the Sikh rule and the Sikh rulers in the larger part of Pakistan and Lahore and its center or the capital, the Lahore was. So with this background, I would like to add something, and I will come to the actual writing after elaborating few things. What is important is the question arises how historical events to be recorded, because in that period of time it was not so developed. Frankly speaking, the way history is being written today has not been there in 16th century or 17th century. But whatever they have written, be it Abul Fazl or be it people before him, it was in a different way. Whatever has been written, it really provides best source to look into the history. And our historian in 20th century, especially the British scholars, English scholars, they all have utilized those sources as the best source, especially on Sikh rule. So there are a few books that will come under reference, and I hope my colleague Khanum Nargis Jabri Nasab, if she has spoken, she must have mentioned about that also. I am very sorry. In another room, I was actually, it's a admission, PhD admission Viva is in progress. So we are doing that online. So that was also decided, and this date was also decided. So I am between the two. So sir, actually, these were largely on the basis of news, khabar wa akhbar. Means the major source were news gathered from various parts, and how it worked. A large number of news writers were actually engaged to ensure that this network is well in place. The news writers, in Persian we call it akhbar navis, used to prepare daily reports and also detailed account on any major events for their subedar and the imperial court. Of course, systematic channels were there for its delivery. It may not be available for common readers, but generally took shapes of imperial orders, farmans, and thus its sharing were enlarged. It's pertinent to underline that mostly the administrative matters were given due importance. Historical sources point large mentioning of activities related to the Suba of Punjab. There had not been conflict and acrimony, and by and large, in the beginning, with regard to the Sikh as a vibrant, learned, and hardworking community. Such trend is noticeable during the later Mughals period, when they tried to put a check on political movements fearing danger to their establishment. Otherwise, I feel I could see that there had been very good cordial relation, and those all things are well reflected in their writings. Nevertheless, a wide range of literary, cultural, and historical pieces of writings and materials appeared on the horizon. Undoubtedly, these are celebrated works either the Sikh community have made directly or they had been involved in the accomplishment of these works indirectly. Now the book, the most widely range talked book is Zafarnama. When we talk about Zafarnama, there are many more Zafar. There is not one Zafarnama, but there are many more Zafarnamas. In Iran, as I was discussing with Khanum Nargis, she said there are more than 10 Zafarnamas dealing with different period and dealing with different rulers, and the purpose of those different those Zafarnama had been different. But to me, I have found during my study that there had been 3 Zafarnama written by 3 different people, and it throws light of the activity as well as the relationship, the court activity, the governance system, etc., of that particular period. The first and most important is Zafarnama. It was written by none other than but the great leader and scholar Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Singh wrote Zafarnama and he dedicated it to Aurangzeb. It's very interesting that this Zafarnama is in poetical form, and writing history or narrating, these incidents in poetical forms really shows how great he was as far as literary activity or writing is concerned. I was really very much impressed to see that the way he has elaborated everything, praise is there, everything is there, as well as the finest criticism is there with regard to the people, with regard to his, rulers, governors, and others who are not fair in their deal with the that Punjab part of the Sikh community. That is well recorded in that. Then second Zafarnama comes. It is Zafarname Ranjit Singh. This has been written by Kanhaiya Lal. Kanhaiya Lal wrote. He has also penned down beautifully the history of the Sikh rule in that period. And the third and the most elaborate or extensive, well recorded is Zafarname Ranjit Singh by Diwan Amarnath. Diwan Amarnath has really made a great contribution in writing the Sikh history, in writing or tracing the overall activity of that period. And it is very extensive, and it is not only a historical source of material, but it is also a good literary work. When we see that history, literature, culture, everything is moving together. With regard to one point that poetical, some these books are poetical. People may question that how history may be written in poetry, in poetical form. But it must be mentioned that in Iran, we had the tradition of writing such history in poetical form. And we know that Shahnameh had been the best writing by Firdausi. This also records the historical happenings and historical activities of different period of time of different dynasty. So when we try to see it with that point of view, we will appreciate that these rulers and scholars and these committed people have how they have presented it in a poetical form, and that is of course history, language, literature, and culture. So this Zafarnama holds high. This Zafarname Amarnath. This holds high literary as well as historical value. Many Europeans have narrated Sikh history as per their own perspective, and prominent among them were Prinsep, Murray, and others. But the accounts and works of the Indian writers are of paramount values. The contribution of Sohan Lal, Bhuti Shah, and Diwan Amarnath are remarkable with regard to the writing of history or creating and providing best sources of historicity, and on the basis of these sources, scholars have constructed and developed Sikh history at large. Munshi Sohan Lal was a dedicated news writer, Akhbar Navis, at the court of Ranjit Singh and has recorded day-to-day works in finest manner. His Roznamche of Ranjit Singh is highly appreciated by scholars, writers, and are taken as the most reliable source, most original source to develop the history with the different perspective. The prominent writer Sita Ram Kohli, who has edited Jafarnama, he has edited the Jafarnama Amarnath, is of the opinion that Amarnath's work is better than any other works as far as Persian historiography is concerned. His close association with court and family background helped him a lot in shaping the Sikh history with authenticity. Amarnath was from a scholarly background. His family actually hailed from Kashmir. His grandfather was a learned scholar of Persian and Arabic. So he did a great background job for the history, Persian historiography. He was also assigned the task of writing Fatah Name, highlighting the victory of Sikh on Afghans. Important to mention that this, whatever he has written in Fatah Name, this Fatah Name later was appended with Zafarnama, and it runs into 15 to 20 pages. These were incorporated in the main Zafarnama. Good number of quotations are there, highlighting the most important. He has beautifully quoted, presented the existing condition and turmoil as well as the conflict existing when he attempted this masterpiece. Thus, it is considered best Persian writing as far as historical works are concerned. We need to work and highlight this account in our Persian researches. His best remarks about writing Zafarname is Dil be khayalat wa sukhan bandi ast. Dil be khayalat wa sukhan bandi ast. Khatir rangin be chaman bandi ast. Mikunam agaz Zafarname ra. Gardise aflak deham khamera. So this is how he writes, that how he was assigned the task by Maharaja to write this Zafarname, and with this good intention, he has started the work of writing Zafarname. There are 3 manuscripts as far as this Zafarname Amarnath is concerned. 2 manuscripts are complete and they are in good shape, good condition, and one is a bit incomplete and defective as far as preservation of this manuscript is concerned. The Lala Das Mal's manuscript is also named as Zafarname Akbari. There are 3 different manuscripts. So one manuscript by Lala Das Mal, it is also called Zafarname Akbari. As far as the style of writing, this piece is concerned, it has prose also, and it is in poetical composition also. Amarnath was well aware about the classical literature in Persian language, and that is strongly reflected during the course of his writing. He also massively quotes the Persian writers, Persian classical literature, also verses from the Holy Quran is there. A style of Abul Fazl, as far as history is concerned, the style of Abul Fazl is also reflected in this writing. And with regard to poetical composition, it reminds the celebrated poet like Faizi, Saeb, Bedil. They have also been mentioned there, and their style of poetry has been taken into consideration by Amarnath. One important feature of this book is mysticism and Sufism. Mysticism and Sufism had been very important at that point of time, and that area, especially Lahore, Punjab, Kashmir, it had been the center for the Sufis, saints. So he has also mentioned and highlighted in a historical way how the Sufis, Sant, and how mysticism was working in that part. And these all are liked by scholars and readers. With this, sir, I intend, it has shown me a new chapter, and I intend to work on the Jafarnama as far as constructing the history of Sikh rule is concerned. There are 3 manuscripts. We can edit the manuscript further by taking all 3 manuscripts. We can take best use of what Amarnath has written, or what Mr. Kohli has written, so that can be relooked in this context. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And next time I'll be more elaborate, because due to constraint of time and closure of universities, libraries during this corona pandemic period, we are not really able to access materials. It is only, PDF materials from different archives have led us to look into. Thank you very much, and hope you will give me another opportunity to participate in your programs in future, and we will do the justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Saab. If you could give us so much information and knowledge with all those constraints, I'm sure next time you will come, it will be very heavily loaded. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, may I request Professor Dr. Zahra Kazmi, Faliha Zahra Kazmi, to please present her paper. And I'm sure she has worked much on it, because in fact, if I tell you the truth, this topic was given by her to me. I'm not very well versed with Persian, and I wanted to have some discussions, some papers on Persian contribution for the history of the Sikhs. So she gave me this topic, and I'm grateful to her too. And I request her to benefit us with her knowledge. Dr. Professor Faliha Kazmi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I am just a part of your team, and I just want to work for the history of subcontinent, especially for the Pakistan. And for this, I want we should work on the history of Sikh era, because it is the history of Pakistan. And especially it is the history of about Lahore and Kashmir. मैं एक चीज़ और यहाँ मुख्तसरन जिक्र करना चाहूँगी उन सब लोगों का जिन्होंने हमें आज ज्वाइन किया. अव्वल मन तशक्कुर میکنم از خانم دکتر نرگس جابری نسب که خیلی زحمت کشیدن و دوست عزیز ما هستن. ما در این برنامه با ما حضور دارن، ما واقعا استفاده کردیم خانم دکتر. बाकी सब पार्टिसिपेंट्स का भी बहुत शुक्रिया. वक्त कम था, लेकिन मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा जब कल को गुराया साहब ने मुझे बताया कि डॉक्टर हरप्रीत से तो उनके बहुत पुराने ताल्लुकात हैं और ये रिवाइव हो गए. तो देखें, ये हमारे इन वेबिनार्स का ये बहुत ज़बरदस्त हमें फ़ायदा हुआ. हम लोग बहुत नए लोगों से आशना हुए. डॉक्टर हरप्रीत से हमारी दोस्ती का आगाज़ हो गया इस वेबिनार के थ्रू. डॉक्टर महबूब हुसैन साहब, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया. आप हिस्ट्री का और पर्शियन का बड़ा क्लोज रिलेशन है. पाकिस्तान की हिस्ट्री मुकम्मल ही नहीं होगी जब तक कि पर्शियन लैंग्वेज और लिटरेचर का उसके साथ बड़ा क्लोज ताल्लुक नहीं होगा. और ये गुराया साहब इसका बाइस बने हैं कि हम सब एक दूसरे के करीब आ गए. डॉक्टर साहब ने बड़ा ही ज़बरदस्त पेपर पढ़ा, और जो डॉक्टर साहब आपने इबरतनामा को इतना डिटेल से डिस्कस किया, इससे मैंने बहुत इस्तेफादा किया. जो आपने बात की कि ये जो तुर्कों और ईरानियों को उस ज़माने में जो झगड़े चल रहे थे हमारी नज़र से नहीं गुजरे थे, تو یہ بڑی ایک اہم بات تھی. اور ایک چیز اور، ہم نے جب یہ سلسلہ شروع کیا گورایا صاحب کے ساتھ، ہم پہلے ادھر لاہور کالج میں بھی ہم نے ایک ویبینار ارینج کیا، تو آنیسٹلی ایران سے بہت زبردست ہمیں اس کا رسپانس آیا ہے. اور ایون انڈیا، مجھے لگتا ہے کہ اس سے پہلے انڈیا میں اس کے اوپر کبھی کوئی بات نہیں ہو رہی تھی، لیکن اب انڈیا میں کئی ویبینارز اس کے اوپر ارینج ہوئے ہیں جو کافی مجھے بھی اس کے انویٹیشن آئے، اور مجھے اچھا لگا کہ ہم نے ایک ایسا نیا چیپٹر کھولا ہے جس سے ہم سب فیوچر میں بہت فائدہ اٹھائیں گے. ڈاکٹر اشتیاق صاحب کا بہت شکریہ، ہم نے انہیں ریکویسٹ کی اور وہ اس ویبینار میں شریک ہوئے اپنی تمام تر مصروفیت کے باوجود. میں جو آج ٹاپک جس پہ بات کرنا چاہ رہی ہوں وہ گنیش داس بھندرا کی تاریخ ہے. نام اس کا چہار باغ پنجاب ہے، اور گنیش داس بھندرا صاحب انشاء اور سیاق کے ماہر تھے. روداد اور درخواست اور دستاویز تیار کرنا ان کے دفتری مشاغل میں شامل تھا. اسی مناسبت سے تاریخی اور جغرافیائی معلومات پر انہیں بڑی دسترس حاصل تھی، اور ان کی تالیفات میں ایسی بہت ساری معلومات ہمیں ملتی ہیں جو کہ اس دور کے حوالے سے بہت اہم ہیں. گنیش داس نے بھدرا کا لقب اپنے اجداد سے حاصل کیا، اور جو راجگان اجمیر کے اسلاف میں سے تھے، اور جو 894 ہجری میں سیالکوٹ اور بہلول پور کے گورنر تھے. گنیش داس گجرات پنجاب کے رہنے والے تھے اور مدتوں یہی قانون گو کے عہدے پر فائز رہے. اچھی بات یہی ہے گورائے صاحب، جو ہم پہلے بھی ڈسکس کر چکے ہیں، کہ ہمیں ان ویبینار سے پاکستان کے حوالے سے بہت تاریخ کے بارے میں پتہ چل رہا ہے، کیونکہ اس سے پہلے میں خود بھی ایک چھوٹی سی طالبہ ہوں تاریخ کی، تو جتنا بھی ہم لکھتے رہے وہ زیادہ انڈیا کے ایریاز کے حوالے سے تھا. لیکن اب جب ہم ان ویبینارز میں شامل ہوئے اور یہ ایکٹیویٹی کر رہے ہیں، تو ہمیں ان ایریا کی ہسٹری زیادہ معلوم ہو رہی ہے جو پنجاب پاکستان کے حوالے سے ہیں. راجہ گلاب سنگھ جو جموں اور کشمیر کے حاکم بھی تھے، انہوں نے گنیش داس بھندرا کی علمی اور ادبی شہرت کے بارے میں سن کر انہیں جموں بلایا اور ریاست کے دارالانشاء میں اسے اعلیٰ مقام عطا کیا. اچھا، آپ کی بہت ساری تصانیف ہیں جن میں چہار باغ پنجاب سب سے اہم ہے. اس کے علاوہ ایک اور تاریخ ہے راج درشنی کے نام سے. اس کے علاوہ آپ نے مرات القوانین اور منشآت منشی کے حوالے سے بھی کے نام سے بھی 2 تصانیف تحریر کی ہیں. چہار باغ پنجاب کا اصل نام صاحب نامہ ہے، اور اس کے بارے میں خود مؤلف نے لکھا ہے کہ جزوی چند از تواریخ پنجاب فکر بسیار انتخاب نموده رساله صاحب نما نام نهادم. ابتدا میں آپ نے لاہور شالکوٹ کی بنیاد اور اس کی وجہ تسمیہ اور ابتدائی تاریخ بیان کی ہے. اس کے بعد آپ پوٹوہار اور گکھڑوں کی حکومت کا ذکر کرتے ہیں. پھر دور غزنوی سے لے کر حملہ احمد شاہ ابدالی تک مختلف سلسلہ سلطنتی کے ادوار میں پنجاب کی مختصر تاریخ بیان کرتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ اعوانوں کی وجہ تسمیہ بیان کی گئی ہے اس کتاب میں، اور پھر اس کے بعد آپ نے سکھوں کے احوال تحریر کرنا شروع کیے. ان کے 10 گروہوں کے متعلق اختصار سے احوال و قوائف تحریر کیے ہیں. پھر 1830 بکرمی اور 1774 عیسوی سے لے کر 1815 عیسوی تک کے سکھوں کے ابتدائی دور حکومت کی تفصیل بیان کی ہے. ان کے زیر حکومت پنجاب کی سیاسی تقسیم کا نقشہ بھی بیان کیا ہے. یہاں تک کہ تاریخ تک تسلسل ختم کر کے پنجاب کے مختلف بیش بہا جغرافیائی علاقوں کی معلومات بھی آپ نے فراہم کی، اور مثلا دریا، دوآبے، مشہور شہر، سرکاری دفاتر کی اطلاعات اور مختلف علاقوں میں بسنے والی اقوام کی نشاندہی بھی آپ نے کی ہے، اور بڑے بڑے شہروں کی بنیاد کیسے رکھی گئی، ان کی تاریخ، ان کی وسعت کا احوال، اور وہ بھی اس میں بیان کیا گیا. اس کے علاوہ آپ نے جن اہم شہروں کے بارے میں بات کی ہے اس میں سیالکوٹ، وزیر آباد، برہمن آباد، امرتسر اور جہانگیر آباد اور شیخو پورہ کا بھی ذکر اہمیت کا حامل ہے. سب سے زیادہ مفصل حال آپ نے اپنے وطن گجرات کا بیان کیا ہے. اکبر بادشاہ سے لے کر سال تالیف یعنی 1265 ہجری تک کے حکومت کا ذکر کیا ہے. ضمناً ایسے گاؤں اور قصبوں کے نام بھی اس کتاب سے ہمیں معلوم ہوتے ہیں جو بادشاہوں کے ناموں سے منسوب کر کے رکھے گئے تھے، مثلا شاہجہان پور، اورنگزیب پور، عالمگیر پور وغیرہ. ان جغرافیائی اور تاریخی معلومات کے بعد 1229 ہجری سے سیاسی تاریخ قلم بند کرنا شروع کی آپ نے، اور پھر نئے انتظام میں حکومت کے تحت علاقوں کی تقسیم بھی بتائی ہے. رنجیت سنگھ اور اس کے جانشینوں کا مختصر احوال بیان کرنے کے بعد آپ نے 1849 عیسوی میں پنجاب میں انگریزوں کے نظم و نسق اور ان کے تصرف کے واقعات تحریر کیے ہیں. مصنف کیونکہ اراضی کے نظم و نسق اور مالیات کے شعبے میں ایک فعال کارکن یعنی قانون گو کے عہدے پر سرفراز رہے، اس لیے وہ اپنی اس تالیف میں بیان کیے ہوئے بعض واقعات کے عینی شاہد ہیں. اسی لیے ان کی بیان کردہ یہ تاریخ بہت اہم ہے. پنجاب کا جو نقشہ آپ کی کتاب سے ہمارے سامنے آتا ہے وہ بہت اہم ہے، کیونکہ اس کے علاوہ کم ہی کتب ایسی ہیں جن میں پنجاب کا اتنا مکمل نقشہ ہمارے سامنے اس دور کے حوالے سے رکھا گیا ہے. میں اپنی بات کو بس یہی مختصراً تمام کروں گی اور ڈاکٹر اشتیاق صاحب کا دوبارہ شکریہ ادا کروں گی. ڈاکٹر صاحب آپ نے درست فرمایا کہ اس ویبینارز کے حوالے سے ہمیں جو انفارمیشن ملی ہے یہ ہمارے لیے ایک نیا چیپٹر کھول رہی ہے تاریخ کے حوالے سے اور ریسرچ کے حوالے سے. میں نے خود بھی اس دفعہ پہلی دفعہ سوچا کہ اپنی اسٹوڈنٹ کو سکھ دور کے حوالے سے کسی ٹاپک پر پی ایچ ڈی میں ریسرچ کروائی جائے. اور جو آپ نے ہمیں ذکر کیا ہے ظفر نامہ رنجیت سنگھ جو دیوان امرناتھ صاحب کا ہے، پلیز ہم سے ضرور اس کو شیئر کریے گا، اس کے نسخوں کو ہم بھی دیکھیں کہ اس میں کیا خاص چیز ہے. اور اسپیشلی میں میڈم ڈاکٹر ہرپریت سے ریکویسٹ کروں گی، آپ نے جو بندہ بہادر سنگھ صاحب کے حوالے سے اتنا مفصل آرٹیکل پڑھا ہے، ہم اس سے پہلے ان کے حوالے سے آشنائی نہیں رکھتے تھے، پلیز آپ ہم سے شیئر کریں. خام دکتور جابری نصب خیلی زحمت کشیدین، خیلی عالی نوشته بودین، استفاده کردیم از حضور شما، خیلی ممنونم. Once again, Goraya Saab, I'm thankful to you and your research center for giving me this opportunity. And inshallah, in next webinar, we will celebrate the ceremony of Guru Baba Guru Nanak Ji. جی، ان کا جنم دن ہم یہاں پہ سیلیبریٹ بھی کریں گے اور سب لوگ اس میں آپ کے ساتھ شامل ہوں گے. تھینک یو سر.
تھینک یو ویری مچ ڈاکٹر فلیحہ زہرا کاظمی صاحبہ. آپ نے بہت ہی اچھی باتیں بھی کیں اور میرے دل سے جو ان لوگوں کا، ان اسکالرس کے لیے شکریہ تھا وہ آپ نے پہلے ہی ادا کر دیا. تو میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ وہ دوبارہ ان کو میں ریپیٹ نہ کروں، میں سب کا شکر گزار ہوں. ایک چیز میں بتا دوں اس حوالے سے جو انہوں نے کہا ہے کہ پہلے ہم انڈیا پہ، پاکستان پہ ریسرچ کرتے تھے، اب پنجاب پہ کرتے ہیں. میرا جو انسٹیٹیوٹ ہے دیال سنگھ ریسرچ اینڈ کلچرل فورم، یہ ایکسکلوسیولی پنجاب، پنجابی کلچر، پنجابی لینگویج ان کے لیے ہے. اور جب ہم پنجاب کہتے ہیں، جو اسٹڈی ہم کرتے ہیں، جب ہم پنجاب کہتے ہیں تو ہمارا مطلب پولیٹیکل پنجاب سے نہیں ہوتا، یعنی ایسٹ پنجاب، ویسٹ پنجاب وغیرہ. ہم پنجاب کو یا تو فزیکل پنجاب لیتے ہیں या ये समझ लीजिए कि जहाँ तक इसकी हदें जो हैं महाराजा रंजीत सिंह ने पहुंचा दी थी, हम उसको पंजाब लेते हुए ये सारी रिसर्च करते हैं। और मैं आप सबका दोबारा सहबारा ये शुक्रिया अदा करते हुए रिक्वेस्ट भी करूंगा कि हमारे साथ यूं ही जुड़े रहिए, और आइंदा भी अगर हम आपको जहमत दें तो हम पे आप एहसान करें। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। खुदा हाफिज। खुदा हाफिज।
थैंक यू सर। खुदा हाफिज।
खुदा हाफिज। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
very much. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।